From that moment on, we shifted every focus, every dollar, every bit of our willpower into bringing this to life. You could call it luck. I think it looks a lot like hard work to actually go stand in front of people to yell at you for 45 minutes and all you want is for someone to take a chance on you is like a very high stress situation that absolutely changed my life. I was literally 9 months pregnant. I guess if I go on labors and make good TV, I think more than money, having a network is just as important as money, if not more important.
I completely agree.
If you're not doing it, your competitor is. The only thing getting in the way of it is you're embarrassed.
Okay, Allison, welcome to Creator Now Next. We are so excited to have you here. I think what you've built at Poppi is incredible. It's it's the most recognizable better for you soda brands in the space. And you built an insane brand. And we just want to hear, how did this journey start?
Also, it is the best brand in the space. Iconic. Thank you. First off, thank you for having me. This is wonderful. I appreciate what you guys are doing, helping bigger corporations be cooler as well, which is very needed. So it's kind of a wild story. I worked in oil and gas research. We were just kind of talking before this. I'm from Texas, Oklahoma, Texas. Oil is a normal thing there. And so I graduated college and then started being a landman. And I went on the road for 7 years, traveling by myself, teeny little towns, stayed in little motels, not hotels, motels. Lived in, motorhomes and just really honestly made baller money. I was saving money and then I would travel to Europe. And I finally, while I was on the road in Utah on a big project, met my husband, Steven, at the mall. So we met at the mall. It's very organic and beautiful. And during this whole time, I had health problems. And so what you would say is maybe girl problems, where it's your stomach hurts and my skin was a mess and I was bloated all the time and my face was puffy. And you go to doctors and they're just hormones or they don't really know what's going on with you. So for me, I just kind of took it into my old hands and I used Google, which is such a beautiful thing when you want to figure out now, ChatGPT. But I will say I Googled and what kept coming up is these elimination diets. And I discovered really what you put into your body can affect the way you feel. So I did a full elimination diet. I took everything out. And the two things that really made a big difference to me was one, going gluten-free and apple cider vinegar. And have you guys ever taken a shot of apple cider vinegar?
Yes. It's brutal. It's brutal.
And how often do you still do it?
I never.
Never.
I can't even tell you the last.
My mom does it every morning.
There we go. She's iconic. I think it's not sustainable. I get that it's quote unquote better for you. But I was I have to figure out a way to make this taste good. So I literally went to my kitchen and I created the first version, which was called Mother Beverage. So very long story short, I had no idea I was going to get into beverage and marketing and this whole creative world, and started with a personal problem and a passion.
So I know that you took Mother Beverage to the farmer's market locally in Dallas, right? What made you even think to take it to the farmer's market to eventually meet a buyer at Whole Foods?
Yeah, so I think for me, I had been so used to being on the road grinding and my previous career. I was bored at home and I was really excited about wanting to share this with people. So I was in my kitchen, putting it in mason jars and trying to convince my husband to drink it. And he's like, Allison, this is awful. And so we would tweak and it was months. And finally he was like, wait, this is actually really good. We need to share it with people. Mm-hmm. And at that point I'd been on the road. We wanted to start a family. So we bought a house in Dallas. And then I got pregnant and we were starting our family. It was really exciting. I was 3 months pregnant. And I was like, well, I can't go back on the road. So I'll just sell my hooch. And I remember my dad calling it hooch. And he was just like, everyone's going to love your hooch. It's amazing. And I was like, oh, wow. Okay, let's do this. And within 3 weeks, we were selling out week after week.
What?
And then we were discovered by a Whole Foods buyer because Whole Foods is a Texas company.
Right.
And she was there with her mom. And she was like, this is my card. We have nothing like this in Whole Foods at the time. And I remember getting that card and it hit me like a ton of bricks. I was like, this is a business. And from that moment on, we shifted every focus, every dollar, every bit of our like willpower into like bringing this to life.
Initially, when you were testing out different recipes, were you changing it on a daily basis, weekly basis? Like, how much time were you putting into it?
You know, that's such a good question. I would say daily, like playing around with different flavors. First off, carbonation is really hard. So like carbonated things explode, they ferment, like certain packaging doesn't work. We learned the lesson the hard way. We filled up these glass bottles in our living room. We go to bed and it's like popping, pop, pop, pop. They were exploding because they couldn't handle the pressured CO2 that you put in. It's like there's so much that goes into like learning it. And then like flavor is affected by mouthfeel and all these things. So you want to like, what is that experience? So we just became really obsessed with the product. We opened our own manufacturing facility, maxed out all of our credit cards. One of our good friends was a beer brewer, and he's like, I can show you. You could probably do it similar to how you brew beer. We bought like tanks from like Europe and Austria and China and like all these things. And I love that we did that. I don't recommend manufacturing yourselves because it's really capital intensive.
Yeah.
But I love that we know how to make our products. And a lot of people don't know that.
Yeah.
What was the moment that you decided that it was the right time to max out your credit cards and really start to go all in?
You know, my husband's my co-founder. He's like the one that's like building the business plan. For me, I'm just like jumping off the cliff and he's like trying to catch me as I'm falling. And so for me, it wasn't even like a moment. It was really probably that Whole Foods moment, right? Mm-hmm. Where it was like, oh, we have something. This is exciting. Let's do it. And I'm very just like, screw it and figure it out later, which I think a lot of entrepreneurs are. And so I think having a co-founder, though, that was a little less risk at first was like a really good combination because you also do need a business plan and, you know.
Of course.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not, you can't just keep jumping and not figuring stuff out.
Yeah. And it's nice too because it sounds like you balance each other out too. It's crazy that you bootstrapped the business in the very beginning.
Yeah, I mean, it was only like $90,000. I mean, I know not only, but that is a lot of money. You know, my sister gave us a loan for like $30,000. We made good money in oil and gas, so we took our whole life savings and then maxed out the credit cards. And I remember we were in Texas. It's 120 degrees summer. Our warehouse has no AC. Our truck was like a hand-me-down for my dad. The AC broke, and then you're at Farmers Market. I swear, like for 1 year straight, we were just like in heat.
Oh my gosh.
It's just those early days where you're just like grinding, and then you just get up and do it again. We're kind of like crazy entrepreneurs, but I think, you know, it's fun.
Yeah. Was there a moment after you were able to get it into Whole Foods? Like after that's a big moment. Like especially from going from a farmer's market to getting your product into Whole Foods. What did that look like? Like how was the response of like from the consumers?
Yeah, a lot of people don't know, like Whole Foods and certain distributors have like Next programs where they actually like mentor and help people through that stuff. So Whole Foods had a great program where we could like bounce ideas off of packaging and UPCs and nutritionals. Like we didn't know how to do any of that stuff. And so we got it to a really good point where we got the packaging in a good point that we were ready to launch. And really from that moment at the farmer's market to actually being on shelf was almost a year. Right. It takes a lot of time to go through regulation and get approvals and certified that you're not just making it in your kitchen anymore. Right. So you don't like want to like poison people.
Yeah.
There's a lot of testing that goes involved in those things. And so we finally hit shelves. And what was crazy is we were only in like 14 Whole Foods.
Oh, wow.
In Dallas. Like this is early, like Mother Beverage before Shark Tank. And it was just still, so we did about 500,000 in revenue. And then decided we needed investment. So that's when Shark Tank came about.
Wow. Do you think when it was Mother's Beverage, the like branding and the packaging like really set it apart from other drinks in the space?
No, the branding was horrible. Yeah. So I think a lot of people don't realize is like where we were as entrepreneurs, we were grinding so hard. We didn't really take a step back and focus on the brand.
Yeah.
So I think like, I mean, it wasn't horrible. It was cute.
Yeah.
Like and pretty, but it was very farmer's market-y. And so it was like homeopathic almost, and so that's very niche. It's not mass. It's not soda, right? So I think for us, it was like a no-brainer to change the name and do like the whole rebrand, to like actually put the time in to create a brand.
Mm-hmm.
When did you realize that you were building such a cultural movement with the product?
I think it happened quickly. So we got a deal on Shark Tank. We took 9 months and did a rebrand. And through that rebrand, we went from bottles to cans. We went from Mother Beverage to Poppi. We went through the whole exercise of like, what is our mission and our values? And it went from like apple cider vinegar to we are revolutionizing soda for the next generation, right? We give you the freedom to love soda again at its best. And we had this like emotional moment of like, we knew who we were. And then we launched Poppi March 3rd, 2020, the first week of COVID. And I remember thinking, this is crazy. The world is shutting down. At the time, nobody really knew how big it was going to be. And so we just kept moving forward. Like, okay, this COVID thing's only going to last a week or two. Like, let's get back to business. Well, it didn't. And so we had to think differently from the beginning. All the traditional ways of marketing went out the table, went off the table. And I just feel like we could no longer do demos. You couldn't do in real life events. Everyone was scared to go to the grocery store. Yeah. So we shifted to Amazon. And we really learned to be digital first. So we were one of the first brands to get on TikTok. And I remember getting on TikTok and doing whatever it took. I mean, I did dance videos. I remember doing like taco pairings and dancing and putting my kids in it and everything. And really what worked, I think I did that for like 3 months and got like 1,000 views. Like it was not working at all. And everyone's like, Allison, TikTok is for dancers, like, and like young kids. And I was like, no, there's this like wild, wild west here. Mm-hmm. There's so many people to talk to. We have to, as a brand, figure it out. And they were like, you figure it out on your own time, but you can have no resources. And so I was like, challenge accepted.
Yeah, you're like, okay then.
Yeah, I've done way harder things than like dance and be silly online. And then really I just sat down one night and told my story and it totally blew up. It was just like, my hair was wet. I was on the couch and I was like, I'm Allison. I'm the founder of Poppi. And my product has 5 grams of sugar. I was on Shark Tank 9 months pregnant. Like all of these things. And it just really connected with people and like how authentic and real it was for like a business owner to be doing that. Now everyone's doing it. Right. I'm so glad more businesses are doing it. But just for reference, like I have like 3 billion views on TikTok and like a third of the platform has seen my face over 7 times. And so that grassroots type of marketing, I feel like built such a community first business that like we say we have community, we don't have customers. Like we're creator led, we are social led, we move at the speed of culture. But it was because from the beginning, we were almost like forced to do it. And then we figured it out, I think, earlier than most. And then we continued to invest in it.
Do you think TikTok was a big part of just like the brand success at that time? Because it was also a really good time too.
It was.
Your point about COVID was happening, TikTok was really blowing up. And I think it was smart that you really used that platform to really like blow it up on social.
Perfect product at the right time.
Yeah.
You know, TikTok was the wild, wild west back then. Yeah. 20 to 22 was like wild. Everyone was getting on it. It was way easier to go viral. Now it's 100% a pay to play. On the business side of things, like you have to do organic plus paid. So I think in the early days, it was, to your point, like the right product with a platform that was new and everybody else was curious about it. So I think it was like a combination of those early days. Absolutely. TikTok was a huge part of our early success.
What made you have your finger on the pulse to that degree to be able to release the right product at the right time, the right marketing strategy at the right time? Was it just a combination of everything previous in your life or?
You know, there's no magical anything that could have prepared for the lightning in a bottle that Poppi was, right? It's, you know, you could call it luck. I think it looks a lot like hard work.
Yes.
I think that there were a few things that played into it from the timing and the product. And then you think of just beverage as a category. It's a very difficult industry to be in. You're literally shipping liquid across the country and different things. It's heavy, it's bulky to find people to manufacture it. So it's a capital intensive industry. But there's one thing that hadn't been done. A lot of people disrupted a lot of things in beverage for a really long time, right? Water, coffee, tea, commodity. It's hard to like disrupt that space. But you look at like the energy space where, you know, Red Bull and Celsius and like all these people came in. And then you have, you know, the kombucha craze and you had sparkling water, but no one had really gone after big soda.
Yeah.
Everyone had been searching for a replacement for soda forever, right? Like if you think of the word soda, it almost invokes emotional, like, oh my gosh, I usually have it with my pizza or my burger or with my friends or family or at the movies with popcorn, right?
Nostalgic.
It's such a nostalgic thing in America, really, not just America, but especially in America. And I just think that it's like hot dogs and a burger and like soda, but people knew it was a dirty word, right? It was just like, you can't have 7 sodas a day. Like that's not good for you. And so I think we were the first people to come in and really have that like occasion replacement. Like kombucha tried, but it's like, it was a little funky. Sparkling water didn't give you the full flavor you got with it. Where insert Poppi, it's like, we're 90% less sugar. You still get full flavor. And you're invoking that nostalgic emotional feeling. So people buy with their hearts more than their heads, right? They say one thing, they do another. Like consumers behave, you know, certain ways. But I just think, yes, right product, but like soda it's huge. It's $250 billion worldwide, right? Yeah. It's a huge TAM. Like it's a huge category. So I think we were just, yes, digital first. We were cool looking. We moved at the speed of culture, but we were disrupting a category that's just in 97% of households in America.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
You know, we're not like a candle.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And it's just nostalgic. Everybody wants a good soda. And
Everyone
especially
does.
like what we were saying is it's at a time where health is key. And it's like people want to drink things that are healthy for you now, not the things that
but
are.
But not sacrifice on
yes,
taste.
Yes. So it's just, yeah, the timing aligned with everything where the market was shifting to, just wanting health. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Shark Tank, because obviously that was a huge moment for the brand. What was that experience like?
You know, I'm blessed to be the only person who've gotten a deal to be a shark as well. Yeah. So I've seen both sides of it. And the biggest takeaway is I have so much empathy for the entrepreneur to like actually go stand in front of people to yell at you for 45 minutes about your business. And all you want is for someone to take a chance on you is like a very high stress situation that absolutely changed my life. Getting a deal on Shark Tank was a huge turning point for us. Opened up access to relationships, to networks, to knowledge, to money. A fun fact about the show too is like if you go on and like we obviously, spoiler, we got a deal. Afterwards, they make you wait and you actually have to like meet with a therapist because it's such an emotional thing and they want to make sure like you're okay. I was like, of course we're great. We got a deal, but can you imagine people that don't, right? I love that they have that support. And then we actually went back to the hotel afterwards and took a nap. Cause it's just like, it's so intense.
Yeah. And
then we got the deal and we didn't close it until 6 months later. So it is a TV show, but you're doing real deals on there. So with that comes due diligence, working through different things. So we ended up closing our deal the Friday before it aired, and it aired, I think, on a Sunday.
Wow.
So we didn't even have any of the money to like change our website or up the inventory or any of that stuff. So where we saw a really big lift was with the rebrand, we did an update on Shark Tank, which was really fun to kind of go through that process. But I mean, Shark Tank is part of that nostalgic American, like I feel like I've lived the American dream.
Mm-hmm.
What did the preparation look like going into Shark Tank, knowing that you're going to be televised? This is the moment.
Yeah. So from the time we tried out to being on was like 6 months. I was 3 months pregnant with my second. So when I went on, I was literally 9 months pregnant. So for us, it was like, there's this click timer, like time. I was like, I guess if I go on labor, it's gonna make good TV. But with that comes like scenario planning. Like, what if they do this? Would you say this? And, you know, if they offer 20%, how would you counter with like you're running through all of those things in your head. But then I'll be honest, once you get in there, it's really hard to stay like grounded and remember those things. So I think like even for us, they offered and we said deal within like 3 seconds. We're like, we just needed a deal. And the person we got to deal with, Rohan, he was the perfect shark for us as well. So that was an added bonus. But, you know, I mean, we practiced in front of people. The producers are amazing. They coach you through like what you're going to say and how your set looks and all of that. You know, they do like background checks and like, it's like a whole process to like get on. And then, you know, there's rumors that Shark Tank gets percentage of the company. That's not true. They don't. They really want to see you get a deal and they really want to see you be successful.
Were you previously fundraising before going on Shark Tank?
So we had an offer for $200,000 from somebody, and it's that old saying, like, don't take dumb money. Like, he had no relationships. He was just money. And I'm so glad we didn't take it. Not because I look back, he was a fine gentleman. We would have loved working with him. Nothing like that. Nothing, no hard feelings. Or I mean, I hope he doesn't think we have hard feelings for him. But I think more than money, having a network is just as important as money, if not more important.
I completely agree.
Yeah, because you can get loans. You can do revolving lines of credit. Like there's so many different things. But network and access to stuff is like worth more.
Yeah, because like when you're scaling a business, you need connections. You need the network versus... I mean, money's great, but it's like you need to be like in the door to get
people
through.
Can completely when I was starting Pearbob, I raised money from Guy O'Siri and Ashton Kutcher, who led our seed round, and then Alexis Ohanian led our Series A. And we raised about $40 million, but the real value came from Alexis helped us get our first customers and get the early validation that we needed. Guy and Ashton helped us get into so many doors, and they helped us get into a lot of get introduced into other investors. But I really think that the people that we had shaved 2 years off of building the business. How much time do you think that initial investment, like bringing in Rohan, helped shave off time?
I mean, Rohan had been in beverage his whole life, right? He'd been through multiple exits. He had a whole team, a whole network that knew beverage. So like, I mean, I couldn't even put a number to it. Even through the rebrand, it was like me, Steven, Rohan, and Stevie, his like partner in crime. She leads the branding and creative side on. She's just like a brand genius. And we worked through all of that together. Like Poppi wouldn't even be here if it wasn't for us 4 getting together. So you know, yes, we created the liquid and we have the founding story, but it's just the partnership within that. I mean, like our first hire had been at like 3 of Rohan's previous companies and was with us till he left, right? Now he's the co-founder with at Cloud with the Kardashians, right? Yeah. So I think that it's so important. It's funny, Ashton's was one of our investors, but he came in later. So
was it Sound Ventures or him personally?
Him, because he was a shark, I think, and Rohan introduced us. Or
I think he might have been.
I think he might have as well. So so it's fun. We've even through it, like we have a lot of celebrities on our cap table and influencers from the Alex Earls of the world. We really believed in like that networking through like share and we all are successful.
Some people argue that having celebrity investors is overhyped. I completely disagree. I took the same angle as you, and we brought in a lot of different celebrity investors, creators, and it has helped us tremendously. What made you decide to take the, I guess, like slightly less traditional path and look to raise money from creators and celebrities?
Yeah, so we actually had a great partner with Kavu, who's Rohan's VC, for like traditional money, right? They backed us, they funded us, they believed in our mission. So it was a marketing strategic decision to allow influencers, creators, and celebrities to invest, because we also did advisory deals. So they would invest their own money, we would work through a scope, and that makes early money go a lot further, right? Like one of the best partnerships that we did was actually like with Olivia Munn, who through the process became like a dear friend, right? Because for 3 years, she was posting us and doing different things and earning equity. And it was like a true partnership through it. And it was really fun at exit to see that she was able to share in it. And so I think it's a really smart for these celebrities and creators to do it and then actually like partner and do the work, because I've heard horror stories where you try to do it. And I love that we had the scope attached, because then it's tied to them actually doing something. You know, of course you can have silent investors as well, which is totally fine. It's like, who cares?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I love how with the creators that you partnered with, like Alex Earl and Jake Shane, they're true lovers of Poppi. Like, I think I saw a video of like of you saying like Alex Earl used to post with Poppi in her like dorm, like in her TikToks. And so I think it just is really like an organic and authentic partnership when you have these creators, you bring them in and like bring them in as a partner.
No, I love that. I mean, I think one of my favorite videos, I remember it was yesterday. I think Jake Shane, he had anywhere from 30,000 to 90,000 followers. And he was singing Poppi in his iconic voice that he sings in. And the sound was just so good. And we're just like, who is this guy? And we just started a relationship then. And it's funny because I advise a lot of brands now. And they immediately want to jump and go work with an Alex or a Jake. And I'm like, we grew with them. Go find the next Alex and Jake. Because one, you can't afford them. They deserve everything they're getting. They work their butts off. But it's way better to grow your brand versus I feel like if you go too big and you're not big, you look like you're just like, it's just not authentic.
I completely, that's really smart.
Yeah. And so I think like a lot of people say that to us is like, intro us to them, do this. I was just like, no, wait 3 years. Like find it. Cause and it was a good lesson early on. I think it was like I think we were 18 months in, we had the opportunity to work with J-Lo. And I was like, oh my gosh, Jenny from the Block. This is iconic. I love her. It was a great relationship. We met with her manager, and she posted, and we didn't actually see a single follower. We didn't see a single sale, and it was for multiple reasons. We didn't have the authentic connection. She'd worked with a lot of other brands, right? And we didn't have the distribution. So like people might have saw it, but then like we weren't big enough at the time, right? You could maybe get us on Amazon. I think we maybe had like 30,000 followers on Instagram. Like we were so little that it's like so disconnected and so unauthentic. But I still think she's iconic though.
Yeah. I mean, she's J-Lo.
I mean, come on.
But like, whereas with like someone like Post Malone, who you guys partnered with, he's like a true lover of Poppi.
He was, and we were big enough. And we, like he was going through his health journey and it was like a real, and it was a bigger scope, right? It was like a 6-month partnership. That was something that we learned along the way, is like these longer term, like real working with people versus just like one-off posts.
Right.
But you learn as you go.
You do. You definitely do learn. I want to hear when Rowan came on from Shark Tank. Obviously, it was a big step to rebrand from Mother Beverage to Poppi. What were you hoping for that rebrand to unlock? Because obviously that's a big step. And what were you hoping for in that moment? Yeah.
So I think it goes back to like not a lot of people focus on the brand. A lot of people are just so focused on return on investment, bottom of funnel conversion. They're not thinking about long-term brand building and brand growth. And that was just something we were hyper focused on from the beginning. So our number one KPI was always brand awareness, I think up until like year 4. And so it just made sense to also just invest and make it a priority. And we continue to do the brand work. I mean, we just did a whole rebrand, not look and feel, but messaging like 3 months ago, because as we grow, our consumer grows.
Right.
You have to like really think of like, how do you go more mass while not losing your OG fam, right? Like there's so much that goes into it. So I think the brand work is also something that we did every few months, every year at Poppi, and will continue to do to kind of make sure it also stays relevant, right? You can't just keep doing the same stuff over and over again.
No, what made you decide that the number one focus should be on brand awareness? Because I feel like when most people are starting off at any product, they're focused on sales. They want to make sure they're driving sales as efficiently as possible. But I think what you did was really smart, because obviously look at what you were able to build Poppi into. But how did you think of like going in that like a counterintuitive path when at first you're not swimming in cash and brand awareness is more expensive?
I think I don't have a traditional marketing background. So like going into it early, if someone was like, well, is that mid-funnel? I'd be like, I don't even know what a funnel is.
Yeah.
Like, in all honesty, I do. We had smart people around us, so with like senior leadership, but they just saw it was working. Like that's the one thing I have to give it to Poppi is like we saw something was working and we just moved quick and we moved at the speed of culture. I don't know how to explain it. It was always kind of the goal early on. It's almost like this like hacking of the system of like you really are thinking about long-term brand building. And I always liken it to like, you think of like a Nike or an ASICS. Like Nike never really talks about their shoes. They talk about the athlete and the emotion, and it's like so iconic, right? So I think that it was a team decision. I don't think anybody really knew what we were doing when it came to that stuff at the beginning. We were just like, oh, this is working, great. And then it became, oh, this is working, let's keep doing it.
What do you think you compromised on as you grew and scaled? Because obviously it's going from the very beginning to Shark Tank to bringing in outside capital. What do you think was the main thing that you refused to compromise on as you scaled?
I mean, we refused to compromise on the brand. So much so that it kind of got in our way a little bit. Like we were so obsessed with like not changing the brand and being iconic that these are actually like printed cans. We used to be in sleeved cans and we thought they jumped off the shelf quite a bit more. So we stayed in them maybe a year longer than we needed. And it cost us like $17 million because we're like, it's cute. Right. So, on the reverse, it can kind of, flip. And then like personally, like as a founder, like you give your heart and soul to the company. So you really do sacrifice so much personally. Mm-hmm. And everyone's like, Allison, you should self-care more. You should do all these things. But it's like, I liked working hard and it didn't feel like a sacrifice to me, even though everyone told me that it was. But I also think it's okay as an entrepreneur to like to build, to like to grind, as long as you're mentally okay.
Yeah.
I'm not saying like if you can't handle it, don't do it. But I do think, looking back, I'm excited now. I get to spend more time with my kids. But I'm not retired. Like I can't just play golf all day.
Yeah.
So, so got to start another company,
I love it. Well, we're definitely excited to hear what you do next.
Yes.
What do you think made Poppi scalable compared to other like wellness brands in the space? Because obviously there's a lot of different companies that try to scale and try to grow, especially in just the health and wellness space. But what do you think like you guys did so different than that, like other brands?
I think in the wellness space in particular, people get really caught up on purity. So what I think about that is like, they think they have to just talk about the product. We are 5 grams of sugar, 35 calories or less with prebiotics and ingredients you can love. And all their marketing is ingredients you can love with 5 grams of sugar. It's very like, you're telling me I need to drink this is good for me, but like, I don't want to. Versus we had Alex Earl telling you to drink it. We had, it's like, they get so caught up on like the product of it that they can't see mass. Like I want the consumer to walk down and say, oh wait, that's so cute. I want them to drink it and be like, that tastes bomb. And then to be like, holy crap, this only has 5 grams of sugar. Like that is our consumer journey intentionally, where we're like catching them with the brand and then we will educate you. Right. I think we just this year, maybe, because it's 2026. I'm like, goodness, already. Last year, we just started running mid-funnel ads, like year 5.
Wow.
So like, which is like heavier on the education. And it's really because like over half of America knows who we are. We're in 1 in 4 households. Like we do have to like start, educating a little bit more. But in those early years, like we just were building a brand. And so I was like mentoring a Better For You product the other day. And they were like, I just can't put sugar in it. And they were just like too much of a purist. And I was like, we went from 0 sugars to 5 grams of sugar and our sales like tripled overnight.
That's
like
crazy.
Founders can kind of get in the way sometimes of, their egos can kind of get in the way and they don't like to take advice. And so not all advice is good advice though.
Yeah. Well, I will say, I mean, the packaging on these, they're so great.
So good, right?
They're so like eye-catching, and it's, you know, it's so different than the other things that are on the market, you know, like on the shelf. And so I think just like the feeling of it, the look, everything is just very different.
We've had like the same designer. She was like our, I think like 5th employee, 6th employee, something. I don't know. She will correct me when she hears this. She's still with us to this day through kids and everything, and still designing the can.
Wow.
It's pretty cool.
From the very beginning.
Yeah.
What was the moment you realized that you were everywhere?
You know, I think it was the first time, I don't know, I think it was probably year 3 where people were still sending me text messages that I was like, oh my gosh, I saw this bodega. And so I was like, yeah, no shit. Like, we've been working really hard on distribution. It was everywhere. And I was almost like annoyed getting those texts because I was like, have you not been seeing all this work we've been doing this whole time? Like, of course we're everywhere. So it almost came to this like, what is going on? Like moment. And I remember Steven, my husband, he was like, you like, it's still really exciting for other people. And I'm like, do they not know we're in Walmart and Target? And I was like, they're not seeing this. It was such a funny reaction to be like, oh, we are everywhere. Okay. And people can still be excited. Like, get it together, Allison. Which is such a funny reaction to have. But it was almost like, do you not see all this hard work?
Yeah.
What was your expectation from the beginning?
To sell, you know, because people might be like, oh, you're selling out. Like, what does that mean? But the second you take on investment of other people's money, you now are responsible for that, right? It's no longer just me and my husband's money. So there's, yes, that factor. But for me, it's Pepsi, Coke, Keurig, Dr. Pepper are the 3 people that can buy you. And they have some of the best distribution in the world. So for me, it's not to sell out. If I partner with someone like Pepsi, I now can get Poppi in stadiums. I can now get Poppi in Subway, Jersey Mike's, Taco Bell, every college campus. We had no access to that stuff before. And so for me, if we really are revolutionizing soda for the next generation, my goal is to get it to as many people as possible. So yes, to sell, but it's to build legacy so that this can be here 100 years from now. And without our partnership with Pepsi, there's no way that would have ever happened, because sure, we could have gone IPO, but we don't have the distribution still. And so a lot of people don't think of that, but when you're in beverage, you have to think of those things.
What were you thinking when you were first like making the product at home? What did you think was going to end up being the journey?
I mean, I think for me, I always wanted to build something to share it with as many people as possible. Like, it changed my life when I started drinking apple cider vinegar and this business. So it was just like, I want as many people to drink it as possible. Yeah. And I like the build, and I like the work, and I like seeing or hearing people try something for the first time. You tried our Shirley Temple for the first time. You're like, and that reaction of like, it's so good. Right. So I think that's what kept like me personally going, is like, oh, more people can actually drink this drink. So for me, it wasn't always about the sell. It was about getting it to as many people as possible.
Was there any step in the journey that surprised you about how hard it was? Because obviously going into it, everyone's a little naive to what the workload's going to be, what the journey's going to be like. There's ups and downs. It's a roller coaster. Did anything surprise you?
You know, I think the biggest surprise is, as an entrepreneur, you don't start a company to have anyone tell you what to do. So the second you have a board and senior leadership and all of these things, they come in, your ego needs to kind of get in check pretty early on to be collaborative. And you don't, as an entrepreneur, you don't start a company and know how to be a leader. You have to learn to be a good leader. Those are very different things. So for me, we realized we had something really special at Poppi. We were, growing crazy fast. We needed to bring in help. So we made a decision to bring in a CEO, right? That was really hard to like actually bring in processes and do things. And then the same thing, like we're buying Super Bowl ads, we're doing all that stuff. And I was like, well, I've never done that. Like, I think I'm good at what we do, and I'm good at the brand, and I ran our creative. we should bring in a CMO, right? To start to learn to have these other voices. But it was the one thing I have to give me my husband credit for is we were very self-aware that these things needed to happen and we were part of the decision versus it getting pushed on us, which I think some founders hold on to stuff for too long and they let their ego get in the way of the growth of the company. So like that personal growth along the way was really surprising to me. And through it, I got like a coach, right? Like there's business coaches and like I read books on how to be a leader and I put the time in to learn to be a good leader, right? So I think that was really fun that I got to learn like as an entrepreneur how to be like a good leader throughout the process, which was like kind of cool.
Mm-hmm. How did you and your husband decide on who was the right fit to bring in to the company? Because that's obviously a big step. You're bringing in these new people. It's very senior leadership. It changes a lot of the dynamics of the company. How did you know that like the CEO and the CMO you're bringing in were like a good fit for the company?
We like to win. So what we did is we actually chatted with all our distributors and we're like, who are the best CEOs you guys work with?
Smart.
And, a couple of names kept coming up and then you start dating them-ish, right? You meet them for dinner and you go through things and then it comes down to like relationship and culture and all that stuff. So we did that with a few people and then we landed on the one that we have today and ended up being absolutely fantastic. And, I will say with the CMO though, we did end up hiring someone before the one we ended up with and it didn't work. And we just realized it really quickly and it just wasn't a culture fit. And she was with us for about 6 months and we just made the change. So I think it was like a collaborative between board and senior leadership, like conversation that was like really collaborative and it's okay to fail. And then the CMO we eventually brought in was someone that we'd known for years and I'd kind of just been begging him for like 4 years to come over. So he finally broke and came over.
Yeah. Well, I think it's
because we knew him.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's smart too that for the person who didn't work out, 6 months and then you moved on. Because I think a lot of companies, especially startups or just small businesses in general, can hold on to employees longer than they should. And so I think making them move quicker to get someone new in, especially when you feel it in your gut, it's just not working, is 100%. Is key. Yeah.
Were you always good at making decisions quickly?
I think that it goes back to like I like to win. So if I noticed something wasn't working, it was really hard for me to engage after that. So put the time and effort into, say, that person or that project. I'm like, if it's not working. So I think it goes into a lot of things in life. Like if I'm very like aware, like, okay, this is a cultural thing or not a fit. Now I am a problem solver. So I would always be really big on like, okay, if it's a lower level employee, like if it's not working in this, is there a fit somewhere else, right? You try to problem solve. And then sometimes it doesn't work, right? So I have this ability to like kind of shut off and be like, okay, well, it's not working. Let's move on. And then it's like not dead to me, but like we're moving so quick. Yeah. And so I think it's not easy though. Like I think I've only fired like 2 people. So I don't think anyone likes to fire people, right? Like it's horrible.
No.
Like I feel so bad. We had a whole HR team at Poppi and everything. And it was just like, I just like have so much sympathy for people that have to do that for a living because like they tend to be like the best souls ever, but it's just like, it's not fun.
No one wants to have that conversation.
No, it's not easy. So I think we're all still human at the end of the day.
Yeah. Building a business is already incredibly difficult. And then you did that on top of raising 3 boys. Mm-hmm. How did you manage the time?
Iconic.
What is even crazier is we never even had a nanny. So like my mom was a saint and like lived with us for 2 years and like helped us.
Wow.
And different things. Like we kind of like early days, we couldn't even like afford it. Right. And so in the early days, I remember like doing deliveries with the baby strapped to me and going into pitches with them and doing deliveries with them and breastfeeding on Zooms. I actually feel like we kind of made it like the culture at Poppi. Like we're very family value based. I think we're from the South where, family is everything. And my husband was actually raised Mormon. So he's like one of 6. And so it's just like, it was just something that we never wanted to sacrifice on. It's just like having a family and business and doing it at the same time. Was it harder? Absolutely. It was harder. Is it now giving me higher purpose because I'm building something for my kids? And I'm so excited that they can see me work hard. And we're pretty grounded. We're God-fearing people and just have good values in our life. But I will say, with all that said, my kids still just think I'm a TikToker.
Just a TikToker. Just
I'm like, I sold a company. Come on. They're like, Mom, stop.
Oh my gosh. No, it is incredible because it's time management, you know, it's like 3 kids and building a business with your husband. It's like both of you are building the business. And so you have a family. I can't even imagine. So it's kudos to you for being able to balance it all.
There was one point where I was traveling a lot. And we were doing a lot of Poppi events. It was after we had our 3rd, we were doing Super Bowl ads. Like Poppi was like on fire. And I came home after a trip and I was like, I'm exhausted. And he's like, you don't think I'm exhausted? I've been home with the kids for 5 days. Yeah. Like, what are you talking about? And he's like, you're going and you're doing all this stuff and you're coming home tired. And we had a conversation. I was just like, what am I doing? And I decided from that moment to say no 50% more. To be home with the kids, not as much. And it was a decision I was doing to go and do all this stuff. So I think there's also time that we had to like check ourselves, reevaluate, talk through and make the decision. And so I think that my kids are pretty resilient and when we do it again, we'll have more help this time.
Yeah. Yeah, no, totally. Yeah. How do you like kind of separate work from like personal life, since you and your husband are kind of together all the time, right? And work together. So how did you kind of like balance that? Yeah, right.
You don't, not especially in the early years.
Yeah.
We also made a decision early on. There's 3 focuses in our life. It was kids, business, and marriage. And we just decided marriage just could hold. So I took a lot of the expectation off of the traditional marriage in the way of, yes, be faithful. Like we're in a marriage, like not that piece, but like I don't need flowers for Valentine's Day because we're already worked 80 hours this week. Like I don't need to go on a crazy birthday weekend. Like I don't need these things. I need us to be here for our kids and to focus on the business.
Yeah.
And he did the same for me. And it was just a mutual understanding. Now that we've sold, we're like going on dates again. And like I'm getting like, I walked in the other day and like a cute purse on the bed that I was like, he hadn't done that in 10 years. So I think it was like, we were good because we were building something.
Yeah.
And it was always a true partnership and it was always a conversation. I think it'd be harder to not do it together.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Especially as a co-founder, right? Because the thing is when you're married, you have aligned incentives,
Correct.
Versus a completely different person.
Yes.
So,
and then they don't get why you're working so hard. And it's like, we both knew what we were working hard for.
Mm-hmm.
I completely agree on the aligned incentives point. I think building a business with your partner is much more preferred than with another co-founder because when you have a co-founder that does not have aligned incentives with you, that's when things can get a little dicey.
It's, I will say though, having a co-founder is amazing because it's really hard to do it alone. Like those solo entrepreneurs, like, I don't know how they do it. Honestly, I feel like maybe the first like 3 employees are that support system for them, but I couldn't do it.
Still, yeah.
What part of the journey are you most proud of?
So many things. I think for me, the biggest piece is those early employees that are still with us today. And now that we're gone, seeing Poppi thrive without us. And it took a while to kind of get there mentally because it was really sad. Like you sell and it's like your baby and you've been working and you're like, now what? And it's like, what are they doing? What's going on? What are the projects? Right.
Yeah.
But to see them thrive in an environment gives me a lot of, I don't know, like, yes, I created Poppi to this. We did that together, but like to show that I was a good leader with something that I learned along the way was really cool, I think, for me. And then I think that no one could have expected the growth of Poppi and the success. Like even the people that worked at Poppi that have been in beverage for 30 years had never seen anything like it. So I think that it was lightning in a bottle. It was a unicorn. It was all of the above. So now what?
Yeah.
You know,
what do you think is next for Poppi?
Ooh, next for Poppi. I mean, I'm just excited to see it like go into like some of these like fun new places that we couldn't be. I mean, just like for context, like we were the official soda of the Lakers and we were not allowed to be sold in the stadium because of contracts. So
oh my God.
For me, like what's next is like having all opportunity to go into all those places, like the college campuses and the sports arenas and the subways of the world without like issue, which is like so cool. Like when I see it, I'll like walk into like a hotel and like open a door and it's like in the mini bar.
Like, okay.
I'm like, how did it get there? So I think that's cool.
Yeah, no, definitely.
What advice would you give to someone that has a great product, but they can't figure out marketing?
Embarrassment is a underexplored emotion as human beings. Go online and make a fool of yourself. That costs nothing but your time. I mean, like you don't need a marketing budget to go online and talk about your product. You get 2 views, 200 views, 2 billion views. Like it grows. Just you don't know what your logo looks like? Ask.
Yep.
What color should it be? Ask.
Yeah.
Like build a community now and invest in it. It's not going away.
In the early days, how often were you posting?
I mean, like over 100 times a week. Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Like creating content nonstop. 80% of our ads were like my face for the first like 3 years, just like on TikTok.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But I also do think though, because you're a founder of the brand,
Right.
I think when consumers and people on social see the founder, like the face and get to know the founder, I think that's a huge like benefit.
Advantage.
Yeah.
Like if you're not doing it, your competitor is.
Yeah.
And the only thing getting in the way of it is you're embarrassed.
Yeah.
It's really crazy. Like if you really say it out loud, like you are getting in the way of like your own success of your business is like kind of wild.
Yeah.
So I have no sympathy for that. For people that won't at least try.
Just got to post.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, social media is essentially it levels the playing field for anyone to be able to start a business because you have the ability to put yourself in front of anyone. And if you can master the ability to make content that performs well on the algorithm, you can really build a business on anything.
When you're seeing it with like music artists on the platform,
Yeah.
I mean, someone like Alex Warren, who's been like a YouTuber and like in the creator space for so long, he posted his songs like over, I think 100, 200, 300 times before it finally went viral.
Yeah.
To then now he's like hottest new artist. So I think like it's on so many different levels within it of success and what virality can do to change someone's life. Now, I don't know how to tell you to go viral because if I did that, I'd be the, most popular person in the world, but you got to try.
Yeah.
Do you think a lot of it's just being authentic and talent? Because obviously you probably weren't thinking that you were going to reinvent the wheel with the post. You were just putting out your story and building a community. I think it might just be as simple as that.
I also think it's part of a strategy from the top down. So like we believed in it from leadership down, where it was like part of our marketing mix. It wasn't like some stodgy person being like, TikTok, what's that? Right? Like, or like if something was trending, we had like 7 people at one point had logins to TikTok and didn't even need approval. Like just get on. Like it didn't always have to be me. Like we had like people in the office or people out and doing sales in like the grocery store. If it was like trending, like post it.
Yeah.
And of course we had our guidelines, like don't get us canceled and like don't cuss and do certain stuff. But I will say like it was part of the DNA at Poppi to be so social first. And I think the bigger companies struggle with that. And then the people just starting out aren't like enlightened to the fact of like how easy it is to use the platforms. I will get on stage sometimes when I speak and I'll do 3 TikToks in 3 minutes and post all 3 of them. And everyone's like mind blown, but I'm like, it's not that hard.
Just like, you just got to film it and post it.
Yeah.
And then you never know what's going to blow up because the algorithm is crazy. And
And what I love about TikTok too is like, if you think about it, you go to like someone's page, no one scrolls down TikTok and like looks what you posted a month ago. Like Instagram's your website. People look on that a little bit more. But really, like if you made a full month ago, no one really, if you got 200 views, only 200 people saw it. Like try it again.
Yeah.
You need to give yourself enough swings at home plate to be able to hit the ball.
Yeah. What do you wish you knew before Shark Tank and rebranding?
I don't feel like I knew anything. Like, you know, and I wish maybe like, I don't know. I like these questions are really hard for me because I wouldn't change anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, like me being so naive in certain ways were some of our biggest disruptors. Mm-hmm. Me being fearless and not knowing that we shouldn't manufacture allowed me to learn how our product is made. So I think like for me, I wouldn't change anything. And it's so funny because I get asked like, what would you tell your younger self? I was like, I don't know. I had a pretty fun childhood. Like maybe go to class more. Like sit front row class, maybe you'll get a B. But I just think like, all of these things were made for us to get to where we are now. And so like, don't change anything.
Yeah. Sometimes it works in your favor when you don't know as much.
Right. Yeah. It's so true. Cause like me and my husband work on a new project and like start a new company and like we almost know too much.
Right.
And I'm like, ooh, do I want to do that again? You're like
the whole
that's
thing.
A lot of work.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I 100% agree.
Yeah.
What do you want your kids to learn from watching you both build this?
I want them to know that they can do anything that they want to do, right? I think that was something that I always had growing up was my parents said yes to everything. Like there was not a lot of consequences for going and like exploring or being creative or getting messy or failing, right? So I think for me, like whatever my kids want to be, I want them to do something that they love. I don't want them to just work in a job because like it makes money or because their friends are doing it or because of XYZ. Mm-hmm. Be a judge, be a painter. Like I don't care as long as like they actually have passion because I found that's the number one thing throughout Poppi that kept me going was that like passion piece. And so and purpose is really big. I think like post exit, finding like having a purpose for 10 years to then now being like, and it's really important, right? I have freedom, I have money, I have all of these things, but like having purpose is very important.
Yeah. Well, and it keeps you going too throughout the journey because a lot of ups and downs and challenges and all of the things you have to have kind of like the main thing that keeps you going and like what's the North Star,
Passion and purpose for sure.
When you look back at the entire journey from very beginning, farmers market, all the way to Shark Tank to the acquisition, what are you most proud of throughout the whole journey?
So many things. No, I think that a lot of brands don't get to this level. And so really the legacy of Poppi to be a generational brand. Mm-hmm. I mean, like that's any dream for any entrepreneur.
Yeah.
To like create something that'll be here, 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years and beyond is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
What's the one thing you want entrepreneurs that are just starting out to know before they're about to get into the journey?
Other than the social piece, it's the ego. Like bring on a team earlier. You don't have to do it alone. The second you have help, you need to let go of that thing that you've done because you've done every job of the company, right? I think it's hard for people to know how to hire. Like talent's really tough, right? And so I think the sooner you get support in the business also will help you like mentally, like take a day off, take care of yourself, because we just grind. And then you forget to like, go work out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I also think too, for like you and your husband being the founders, right, that allows you to really focus on the vision of the company, what's next, just everything beyond like the financials and all of the nitty gritty. So I think to your point, like hiring a team is so important so you can focus on like what's next for the business.
It is. And, easier said than done. It's probably the hardest thing in the business is hiring people.
Yeah.
The funniest thing I hear all the time is like, oh, those Gen Zers. I'm like, everybody you're hiring right now is Gen Z. Like, get over it. Like, they work hard too.
Yeah. 100%.
Allison, thank you so much for coming on. It was great to hear your story, and it was definitely very inspiring.
Thanks for having me. Thanks, guys.
So great.
Cheers.